So let's get into it. Let's first talk about influencers and why they're important for doing outreach on the platform. Okay, so the most time efficient way to find your ideal prospects on X is to find influencers or competitors or appointment setters who are also targeting your niche. If we can find X influencers that are targeting your niche, we effectively have a profile that is attracting your dream clients for you. They're literally doing your job for you. How do we find influencers in our space? Okay, so first things first, I'm sure you have a basic understanding of who the top influencers and competitors are within your niche. So what I would do if I was you right now, I'm sure you do know for your niche who the top people are targeting your niche. I would just start by targeting the top dogs in your industry to both prime your algorithm, but also just get a rough understanding of how to use this approach. So for me, in the high ticket consulting, coaching, agency space, we have Charlie here. We have people like Serge Guattari, Alex Becker, Joel Kaplan, Iman. There's a lot of people who are big names within the space that are actively running campaigns on the platform that you can use for outreach. Because these people are literally targeting the exact same clients that you are. All you really have to do is come in here, look at their followers, look at their tweets, who's liking, who's retweeting, and then from there we can find people within our niche. And the same goes for people in like the real estate niche and the gym niche, chiropractor niche. I'm sure there's big influencers who are also targeting your niche on Twitter. All you have to do is find them and then use their profiles to lead source. Now, I would start with this approach, just finding like the top 5 or 10 people in your space also targeting your niche and use their profiles, because everyone who's following Charlie here is going to be an agency owner or a coach or a consultant or want to get into that space. So potentially there's like 7.3k people here who we can reach out to. And just by looking at this, you can see straight away, all these people are running some kind of agency. That's a good thing about Twitter. Like, communities never really overlap. They make they've done a big push, obviously, like recently, to kind of create these small chambers and these like echelons of the Twitter society that allow users to kind of populate them, and then the algorithm will push other things very similar to the content they're digesting into their face. So targeting these big influencers can be a very, very good way to start here. Okay. Once you've worked through, the top dogs, targeting smaller influencers who populate like more niche subgenres of your market can be very effective. Okay. Typically, the smaller influencers have, smaller audiences and will generally be making more of an effort to target better qualified prospects who the top dogs, like Charlie, may not attract. So right here, this is more of like a volume approach. Like, we're not targeting a very small sub niche here. We're just very broad, targeting everyone. But the smaller people here, for example, Nathan or Fabrizio, these people are going to be targeting smaller niches. And they're going to be putting a lot more of an effort in order to target this subgenre, which means the people that follow them and the people that engage with that post is going to be a lot more niche and could be a lot more qualified. Okay, so as mentioned, start with the big dogs, the big guys in the space, but then go from here and start looking for smaller influencers which you can use their profile in order to lead source from. You want to be looking at their followers, you want to be looking at their content, looking at who's liking their content, looking at who's quoting their content, everything. Because from here, if you can find posts that are targeting your niche, as a result of the way that Twitter's built, the only people actually engaging with this kind of content will be your niche. It's a really cool way to lead source. Okay, so in order to find them, use the engagements on the top influencers' profiles, for example, followers, likes, and replies, etc. So I showed you just then, but you can come into the followers of a big influencer and go into their followers and find loads of smaller influencers here which you can use. From here, again, use their followers, use their likes, engagements, We can also go to Charlie's profile here, and we can look at who's liking this stuff. So for example, Charlie's recently done a giveaway. Giveaways are huge on X at the moment. A lot of big influencers are doing it. All you have to do, obviously this is the training for writing cold email. The only people retweeting, commenting and liking this stuff is people who are going to be writing cold email, who are agency owners. So all we have to do is come into here, look at who's engaging, and straight away we have a bunch of people here who also are like smaller time influencers. Jack's Lab. He shares knowledge you can apply to elevate your mindset, health and wealth. So from here, he's only got 41 followers, but I promise you all of those 41 followers are going to be very niche down, and he's going to have to put a lot of effort into getting those 41 followers, which means quite a lot of these will be very good leads to reach out to. Okay. Cool. So yeah, you can use followers, likes, replies, etc. We can also search for influencers using the search bar. Okay, so what we can do is come up here and we can literally just search for like SMMA. Come to people, and we can literally find a bunch of people who have a Twitter page around SMMA. I help businesses and entrepreneurs 100 times their income and growth. Who's going to be engaging with this kind of stuff? People who want to 100x their income and growth. Now this guy has no tweets, but he has 250 followers, which could be good for us to reach out to. Here we go. Founder, CEO, Finesse Your Reality, ghostwriting agency. Bunch of good leads there. Okay. Same goes for like real estate. We share real estate marketing tips. Okay, all right, 170,000 followers. Ideally, this is quite a big profile, so this could be like one of the top dogs here. But who are the people who's going to be interacting with this stuff? You know, real estate agents. Really cool way. Yeah, here we go. This guy, Florida Mummy Western Fort. He's obviously some kind of real estate agent. You know, a bunch of people in here who are real estate agents are going to be interacting with this kind of stuff. Just find the people who are targeting your niche, and just literally use their profiles as reference, use their followers, use their likes, use their media, everything. Okay? Cool. So another cool way, or another cool thing that influencers do is they create lists and communities. Okay, so all you really have to do is search for common lists in your niche and communities, and just scrape through the owners to find influencers in your space. Okay, as I said, the same goes for communities using the same approach. Okay, so all you have to do is potentially come here to just search real estate in lists. Okay, let's go ahead and just open real estate advice. Who owns this? Some guy who potentially runs a real estate agency that you can use as a lead source from. Let's go again. Agency tips. Okay, all you have to do is find lists that are targeting your niche, and from here you should be able to find an influencer who runs the account, runs the list, and from here, lead source. Okay, cool. I'm also going to show you how you can use lists to just lead source in general, but this is just a good way to find influencers who manage these. Same goes for communities. If we just go ahead and search like, well, my algorithm's quite primed, so we don't really need to search it, but if I just search SMMA owners, or just marketing agencies. Okay, and then find the people who own this community, and from here we can, two admins, both of which should be posting content. Yeah, and from here we can lead source. Okay, so just a really cool way to find those influencers and then use their profiles to lead source. Again, I will be showing you how to use communities and lists a little bit later in the video. So for now, I'm just showing you how you can use these two features to actually find influencers and go from there. Cool. So how do we use influencers to lead source? So I've kind of covered this already, but I'll go through it again. So influencers will create content to attract and reach out to leads in your market to ultimately pitch them. Okay, they create all this content and do all this kind of strategy in order to attract followers, but truthfully the main thing they want to do is sell them and pitch them. Okay, so that's the ultimate goal here. All we have to do is open up their followers and all the hard work is done for us. Okay, we can also use the content they post and interact with as a way to source leads for ourselves. All we have to do is find posts and shares that are targeting their friends/followers and look at who's liking, commenting, sharing, just generally interacting with these posts. So again, like if we can find an account of someone targeting the niche, all we have to do from here is just, we've got followers, we've got posts, we've got likes, retweets, replies. We've also got posts that he's liked within our niche that could work well. Okay, and from here you can find other influencers and just go from here. All right. Cool. So next, okay, now I'm going to cover the search bar. So by far on Twitter, the best way, well, I keep saying Twitter, on X, the best way to find your niche is to use influencers. Okay, there's been a big push recently and a big uptake in the amount of influencers who are actually on X and promoting to their niche, especially now with the popularity of the program of the platform actually on the rise. A lot of people are looking to jump on that bandwagon. So by far, the best way at the moment I found is just to use influencers because, as I've shown you right here, like if you can find like 4 or 5 big accounts, your lead sourcing can be done for the next year. Obviously, you can use smaller accounts and like go down the rabbit hole. So obviously, when you find a big account here, all you have to do is open up their things, find smaller influencers, and go from there and work through until you've got like loads of different influencers that you can use. And this can sustain you for a long time. But the nature of outreach on these platforms, we do not want to be relying on the same method over and over again. So we do want to diversify what we're doing, and using the search bar can also be a very good way to source leads. So as I literally just said, the search bar on X can also be a very cool way to find potential prospects within your niche. Okay, to utilize the search bar, simply search for keywords containing relevancy to your niche. For example, gym owner or real estate agent or agency owner. You can then filter the results to find only people who mention this in their profile by going to the people tab. So literally all you have to do is just search gym owner, come to the people tab here, and literally find gym owners, local gym owner, gymowners.com. But even from here, like we can find influencers and go down there. Everything I'm teaching here should be used in unison with each other. Okay, you should be using the search bar approach and looking for agency owners and gym owners. But at the same time, if you do come across some kind of influencer here, go ahead and just search their followers, their content. Okay. By far, Twitter has the best search bar because when you search for something, it will actually show you what you're looking for. See, gym owner, gym owner. Like it's very, very easy to find your niche literally by just searching that. Okay, or just literally searching real estate agent. Okay, realtor, real estate agent. It's so easy to actually find your niche, literally just by using the search bar. Okay, keep in mind that like all of these people, they could have been blasted. So I would advise scrolling for a little bit to find maybe more niche subgenres. You can also use like the near you tab. You can use the advanced search and go for like specific keywords. Get creative here, and really find exactly where your niche is hanging out. We can then filter this further by like going to latest, media, or lists. So what I mean by this is once you've searched for real estate agent, obviously people's the way you want to start, but you can go ahead and just go to the top tweets and hopefully find people who are talking about real estate agents. We can go to the latest tab and find the latest tweets that reference real estate agents. We can look at media, and also we can find a shortcut to lists here. So in here, we can find a lot of things about real estate. Real estate advice in here. Who's going to be following this? Real estate agents. Okay, so you can infiltrate all of these and lead source from in here. Again, I'm going to show you just below this how to actually utilize that. So we'll keep that in our back pocket for the time being. Lists can be an excellent method, which I'll go into a little more detail in the next section. Okay, we can also look for longer posts by searching for questions and statements to ultimately find tweets or posts that could have been made by members of your niche. So what I really want you to do here is kind of think about the generic questions that your niche may ask. Think about the problems they face, the softwares or services they use. To give you an example, gym owners They do a lot of coaching. You know, I know, have it on good authority as well that the gym owners themselves do a lot of one-on-one coaching. So you can search for questions on Twitter revolving around like, you know, hiring one-on-one personal trainer. And this might be a little bit too much, but from here, you can look at the top tweets and see if anyone's talking about hiring personal trainers, because who's going to be hiring personal trainers? Gym owners, you know? Like, how do I use Go High Level? And then from here, you should be able to find tweets. Maybe that's a little bit too much. Be careful with like overloading the search bar. You want to keep it very niche, not very niche, very general, so that you can find tweets actually talking about how to use high level, because the people who use high level are mostly online business owners. Yeah. Cool. For example, real estate markets as well, that's a good example. So you can literally come in here and search for like latest real estate market, you know, and look at like prices in like local areas, like think about the kind of things that your niche is going to talk about, you know, and just look for the latest tweets where people are actually talking about that. Okay. And again, VA hiring. So obviously agency owners hire VAs. You can come in here and just search for, you know, hiring VAs, because that's what online businesses do quite a lot. And you'll find the latest tweets talking about people maybe struggling with hiring VAs or looking to hire VAs. And then from there, you can kind of determine that they are an agency owner or coach or consultant. Okay. So there's some examples here. Okay. For your niche, there'll be different questions. Just think about the kind of stuff that your niche does on a daily basis. You know, think about the kind of stuff they need in order to operate, and the kind of things they enjoy doing, and the kind of questions they may ask, because there's a very real possibility that they're on Twitter talking about it or asking for help about it. All you have to do is find them. Okay. From here, again, just use the post engagements and profile followers to find potential leads. Cool. So next we are going to cover lists. Okay. So lists are a relatively new feature for X. I believe they are. I've not seen them until very recently. If they've been there for longer, then I'm incorrect here, but I believe they're relatively new. So lists pretty much make your timeline easy to read, and give you quick access to tweets you don't want to miss. So you can effectively follow a list or sign up to a list which talks about tweets in a certain topic that will come up in your newsfeed, but also you will be able to go to that niche, that list's homepage, and just look at a newsfeed full of tweets around that. Okay, you can either create or subscribe to lists revolving around a certain topic to stay up to date with them. Okay, this can be very useful when lead sourcing, as we can subscribe to lists centered around our target niche and see who else has joined and who else is engaging. All you have to do is simply search for a relevant keyword, join a list, and lead source through its members and followers. So as I said before, we can go ahead and just search for SMMA, come to lists, and we have a bunch here. Very bad example there. Agency owners. Okay. So from here, we can just find, I say, well, let's do a real estate example, because I keep doing agency owners. So in here, all we have to do from here is find one that may be relevant to us. So let's go for real estate stuff. From here, all we have to do is work through the members to find people who are real estate investors or real estate owners or people within our niche. You should be able to find quite a few people here. Look through the followers. So there'll be members and there will also be followers. Here we go. A lot of people here who are in the real estate niche that you could potentially reach out to. Then also the benefit of having this is we can look at obviously the owner here, who is himself a real estate person. We can also look at the tweets that are made here. So go through looking at people talking about real estate, and reach out to people as and when we need. Look at who's liking, look at who's replying. So look at Jeff. Who's Jeff? Real estate, there. He works within real estate. Okay, and this is a really good way to find exactly where your niche populates. Okay, and luckily for us, there's hundreds of lists here that we can use, like real estate info. Again, go through the members to find leads, go through the followers to find leads, go through the content posted, look at who owns it, and go from there. I would advise joining, between like 20 and 30 of these and just following them. So then when you just come through the homepage, you get these tweets popping up, and you're pretty much telling Twitter, hey, I want to be given tweets around this topic, and they'll start showing up here, and also the algorithm will catch up and be like, oh, he likes real estate. Let's show him more. Okay, so lists are, very effective, and I've actually seen a lot of success in lists, a hell of a lot of success. Okay, we can also use the list creator as an influencer. I've mentioned this. Again, as I said, just find who creates it and use the above methods here in order to source leads from their profile. Next, we have communities. Okay, now communities and lists are very similar. However, I found lists are a little bit better, just because there's more of them. Communities are also very good. I've just found lists, in my experience in the agency space, to be a bit more effective. It could be a completely different story for your niche. Okay, so I'd advise trying both, seeing what works best. Okay, so lists are similar to communities. However, keep all posts centralized to one location. So whereas lists, you will follow them, and then the tweets will start popping up in your newsfeed. With communities, you follow them and join them, and then you have to go to that community to see the tweets. Okay, they are essentially the same as Facebook groups, yet remain completely unsaturated. Okay, so as we know, Facebook groups are being blasted. However, Twitter groups and communities are, relatively new and relatively, relatively, what's the right word I'm looking for here? Unmolested. Okay, they are quite nice, and they are quite, they haven't been blasted by appointment setters. Okay, they can be a great way to find your niche and engage with them. To find them, simply go to the communities tab, and search for relevant keywords related to your niche. For example, niche or sub-niche names can be a great place to start. So all we have to do is come to communities and search for stuff like gym owners, Twitter gym community, gym. Okay, so quite a lot of here will find people who are, just gyms. Get more niche with the stuff here, because you'll be able to find better results. Let's just go for agency owners. See, agency owners and founders. What I would do is advise just opening these all up into a new tab. If you don't know, you can click the little mouse button in the middle to open up into a new tab, the little scroll wheel. And in here, we can find agency owners and founders. Digital agency owners. There's only got one member, but 3 members. There's not many people in these, but we can find leads this way. Okay. Again, it's a marketing agency. Who's going to be in this? People who run a marketing agency. Okay. The same goes for your competitors. So quite a lot of the time, I search for gym owners, and not many gym owner groups actually come up. It's always good to search for your niche plus owner, because there can be some results, as I've shown you here. But a really good other way to do that is just to actually find your competitors' groups. So for example, just search for the company name of people within your niche who also have a group, because they will show up. Just like Kenzo Labs here, this is technically like a competitor, or someone who runs some kind of online marketing agency. And from here, we can find people who are also marketing agency owners to reach out to them. Okay. Cool. Software groups can also be useful. Okay, again, just find the top softwares that your niche relies on to operate, and see if there are any X communities revolving around that. So, for example, like Go High Level, Alaware, softwares that your niche relies on. There could very well be a community revolved around solving issues within that, or just helping them. Okay, what I would do here is just get a piece of pen. Get a pen and piece of paper out. Okay, and what I want you to do is just write down everything your niche does from the second they wake up to the second they go to sleep at night. Okay, break down every task that they do and what they need to complete it. From here, you should be able to start working out the common things your niche does and how you can reverse engineer these things in order to find communities revolving around them. For example, gym owners hire coaches or run one-to-one PT sessions. agency owners make short form content and they want to grow their followers. Try and find communities and posts for that matter revolving around this. So you really want to know everything that your niche does, what a member of your niche does from the second they wake up to the second they go to sleep, and the kind of stuff they rely on in order for their business to operate. Then from here, go and find communities revolving around this. Now, this information here, is relevant for communities, but it's actually relevant for every single one of these, okay? For lists, search bar, influencers. You want to know everything about your niche and everything they do so that you can find the kind of stuff they're engaging with, and go from there. So once you've found a few examples, you need to use the members, followers, posts, and engagements to find your niche and target them. So all you have to really do from here is once you find a group, open it up, and then from here, you can go ahead and join it, but for the most part, you can just go ahead and straight away see the members in here. Reach out to all the members. As you can see here, as I mentioned before, lists are a little bit better for the agency space, because in here, all of these people are less targeted. But that being said, they could be good leads for us. We can also go through who's posting. Look, is cold calling dead in the age of email and social media? Okay, so we can open up her profile. We can also look at the likes, look at who's replying. Lead source from here. That's not true. Yeah. As you can see, each one of these communities will have hundreds of posts targeting your niche, populated by your niche, which you can use to outreach with. Cool. So next, I'm going to cover hashtags. Okay, now hashtags are almost like a forgotten remnant of Twitter's past. Okay, hashtags used to be like the unique selling point, and it really did drive its success. However, now it's all but forgotten, and especially with this new rebrand with Elon, hashtags aren't actively promoted anymore. Okay, whereas it's not actively promoted, a lot of users actually still rely on them to promote their tweets. I guess old habits die hard. I guess a lot of people still just rely on hashtags in order to promote their business, and just make tweets in general. As you can see here, quite a lot of people will still be using hashtags. Maybe I've completely lied to you here, but some people definitely do still use hashtags, and a much better way to actually find hashtags is by searching them. We don't want to be showing stuff like this in training, so we'll hide that. If you guys don't have Undistracted, get it, because quite a lot of these platforms will just show stuff that's very distracting. It's very easy to get distracted. So just download Undistracted as a Chrome extension, and you can just hide everything so that you come on the platform, all you do is outreach. Okay. So whereas people still rely on hashtags, they're not actively promoted, but you can still find tweets that use them. Okay, so you can actually use hashtags in the search bar to find tweets that use them. Try searching for hashtags that revolve around your niche, its common problems, pain points, daily practices in order to find them. So what I mentioned here about knowing everything about your niche, just think about common hashtags that they may use when doing things like this and this, and go ahead and use those hashtags to search. Now, I'm sure you are all aware, if you have a MacBook, for some reason there's no hashtag button, and I've driven myself insane trying to find it. I know mine doesn't, so every time I hashtag I have to come up here and copy and paste. And what you can do is physically search for like hashtag short form content and find the top post that have been made recently around short form content. People still use it, like December the 7th. And you can find tweets mentioning that. Let's say you do hashtag real estate agent. You can find a bunch of tweets talking about real estate agents. So hashtags are definitely dying, but they still can be used in order to find tweets that are relevant to your niche. I'd give it a go. I'd come in here, think about the pain points, think about the stuff your niche does, the programs they use, the stuff they do on a day-to-day basis, and just search for hashtags. Just there's no harm in doing it. You might come up with no results, but I know for some niches that it could actually be come up with some very good results. I know for the agency space it's a little diluted, but give it a go, see if you can find any results with it. I'm giving it to you because it still works, and it's not actively promoted anymore, so not many other people are actually going to be doing this. So it could be a really cool way to find leads on X. Cool. Now, the final thing that I'm going to teach you for X outreach, there are more methods than what I've shown you here. However, these are the ones that I know work and I have actually used myself, and I'm only going to teach you stuff that I know works. The final thing is the timeline, which is more of like an algorithmic approach to Twitter outreach. Okay, so once you've used the above methods for a short while, you can start using X's algorithm to lead source. Okay, all you have to do is simply open up your timeline and scan for posts and adverts that are targeting your niche. Use the likes, comments, and shares to find perfect fits for your business on autopilot. Okay, now I'm going to show you an example on Charlie's profile. However, I don't actively use this account, so the algorithm isn't massively primed for agency owners. That being said, we should still be able to find some good examples here. All we have to do is open up the algorithm and go ahead and try and find, here we go, straight away. I created growth operator by focusing on the product. Okay, so who's Brady? Thoughts of a growth operator. He runs some kind of online agency or coaching program. Okay, we can lose his followers, following, his likes, to go ahead and use the algorithm to just find people. Straight away we've come in here and we found head coach, Bluebound marketing, so on and so forth. Okay, so we can literally open up just the algorithm and find people who are a fit. Okay, this guy's making a tweet about writing. Who's going to be interacting with the tweet? People who want to write better. Quite a lot of agency owners want to write better. So you come in here, find the likes, and find people who could be a fit for you. Ghostwriter, copywriter, retweet about startups. Okay, even though this tweet isn't necessarily targeting agency owners, we're still within that ecosystem of online businesses. So a lot of people who are liking and engaging with this could be a good fit. Okay, it's quite a lot of tweets that come up are very PG-13, so I'm trying to get past them very quickly, but that's just the nature of X, the new rebrand. You're going to see a lot of bad stuff on here that you don't want to see. You just kind of have to just ignore it. After 4 years in the agency space, I've made nearly 2 million and I'm currently at 200k per month. I'm still learning. Okay, so straight away we found a guy, could be a fit. What we want to do is open up his account, and from here we can use his followers, his likes, his content. We can also use the content on the specific post here by coming to the engagements, seeing who's quoting it, seeing who's reposting it, seeing who's liking it. And from here we can find people who are also agency owners that I can reach out to. Okay, now I can only really show you examples for the agency space here because obviously this account is primed. Charlie's account is primed just for agency owners and coaches, but the same goes for your specific niches. Okay, once you've been doing the above methods here for a few weeks, you should be able to just open your timeline and just get people who are within your niche popping up, because Twitter will, I keep saying Twitter, X, will cotton on very quickly the kind of people that you want to interact with, especially if you're joining lists, communities, posting about it. It's just going to do the job for you. Straight away, we can find a bunch of people who are a good fit for reaching out to. Okay, so that's the approach for the timeline on Twitter. I could show you this all day, but truthfully, Twitter outreach is so easy, or Twitter lead gen is so easy. You can literally it's so easy to find people within your niche on Twitter. All you have to do is just use methods that I've shown you here, and you should be able to find them. Very simple. As I mentioned, X is on the rise. The amount of people who are trying to jump on the bandwagon as it goes up to the moon, it's just getting more and more every day, and niches that weren't that populated on X are becoming more and more populated. So if you haven't done Twitter outreach already, I'd look into it, because it could be very well that your niche is hiding on here waiting to be reached out to. It's just a case of actually doing it. Okay, and the methods that I've shown you here in collaboration with the DM sorcery approach will mean you book a ton of appointments and sign a bunch of very good clients. I can't even tell you the amount of clients that we've actually signed on as a result of Twitter. So if there's something that you're not utilizing already, I would highly advise doing so. That being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I say this at the end of every video, but if you do have any questions, feel free to pop it into the community and tag me. We also have outbound coaching calls every Wednesday at 4 p.m. UK time. Come along, tell me how outreach is going, ask me questions. I would love to see you there. And guys, thank you so much for sticking around. I'll see you in the next one.